Gonna fuck with it, man. Gonna do what we can. I'm gonna see how this back. Put some love on this shit. Welcome, 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 welcome. Anyway, we get. All right, man. We got another episode of Hey, another episode, man, of Wired Realities. You know what I'm saying? This episode is called Service is the Upgrade. By giving back, keep it clean. Yeah. So but the moment recovery stopped being about me, the moment it started working. You know what I'm saying? So with that, I bring you, Rewired Realities. Welcome back to Rewired Realities, show where we break down the systems that keep us stuck and rebuild the mindset that set us free. Your host, D Watts, D Watts with the plots. For today's episode is called Service is an Upgrade. Service is the upgrade. My giving back keeps me clean. Uh, you know, I learned this the hard way, man. When my world gets small, when my world gets too small, my problems get loud. And service didn't fix my life, but it upgraded. You know what I mean? If I can get self-centered and think about me, man, get caught up in the rigmarole, the rat race, try to make everything come together, man, and I get lost in it, right? Chasing the money, chasing next pretty thing, chasing the next big thing. Oh yeah, man. Let me give a shout out. Oh, I got some merch. I mean, just small things, one brick at a time. You know, as we say, brick by brick. I got my merch, man. I got my logo on my shirt. Wild Realities. Got my logo, and I got a hat with my logo. Be on the lookout for the merch. Cool. Um, but yeah, man. Yeah, I just wanted to, know, acknowledge that. That's a big win for me. Stepping it up a little bit. Got some other things really working out. But yeah, that as like I was saying, that's what reminds me of service to my business that I'm stepping into, that I'm help others in their lives living. You know, I start doing service, stop thinking about me on a level of like, how can I benefit? Then, you know, just start working and the upgrade. That's the upgrade. You know what I'm saying? Me. So we're gonna break it down into some topics, segments. You know what I'm saying? Topic number one: service changed the way my recovery went. Right? When recovery was only about me, early on in my recovery, when I was very self focused, how I felt, what I needed, what wasn't working. Uh, that makes sense at first, right? Survival mode. That's kind of how I came out of. That's how That's just my makeup, right? Or that's just my DNA. I'm always in survival mode. So you're trying to play catch up, or or you think you got to catch up, or you in that survival mode where I can't save everybody. Let me save myself. No, that's comes from that active life of being in that active life, man. We call it addiction, but it's in the lifestyle, man. Lifestyle of give and go. You know what I'm saying? I get. So in the beginning that works, right? But in the beginning that works, man. You get back in the game, get the job, you get everything cracking. You get I don't know where me. I had to get L's. I had to L's was obituary obituary traffic. Had to get some shit cleaned off my record. Had to get some things back. Had to set up accounts. You know what I mean? Get my place back cracking. All these things. I was in the middle of a divorce at the time. A lot of things, man. In the beginning that worked. I had to self get that through survival mode, fight or flight, fight or fight or flight type of mindset where you just, "Oh, I gotta keep going. Um, Staying there too long, man, that's where I started to drift. You know what I mean? Just started drifting la la land, thinking that, I got all these things going on and I'm not I'm content or I'm happy. Let me say this. I'm content in my recovery. I'm content in like the way things are going. I'm still not finding that ultimate. I start to drift. Start to, how can I do more? How can I get more? Starts to way, know, that isolation, self-centeredness, man. To that, where's my next hit? You know what I mean? Like really for real. Like where's my next hit? Where's my next thing going? But so yeah, isolation didn't look like being alone. It looked like being stuck in my own head. You know what I mean? And that, get complacent. I get stuck in my own head when I don't know what my next move is. Got so many things going on. I can't, what I mean? Service, right? So the next topic is service. Service gave me recovery direction. You know what I mean? When I started giving back, showing up for others, man, I became a community leader, man. Many different ways. We get into the realms of like political stuff days where I advocate for people that live struggle or that had these thoughts, man. They trying to find a way out. 'Cause there's not a big voice. There is a big voice, but a lot of people don't listen to that. We have a community, people that thrive, get out that get out that cycle. I'm one of the advocates of that. So yeah, giving service. And it started with something small, man. It just, you know, in the beginning I was just taking somebody with me to a meeting. I was just talking to somebody on the phone that I just met, at a meeting, chopping it up, letting them tell me about what's going on instead of talking service. Service pulled me out of that self-pity, pulled me into purpose. You know what I mean? I shout out to Rewire Realities because that's what that's about. Service, the service ran business that I created on my own. Um, you know, was in the memory of or in the I got right, but yeah, but it was in the realms of helping others. It wasn't about dollars. Let me rephrase that. What I'm trying to do today will if done right will set me up. Me just but my major passion or my major purpose for it is to help others, to help people, man. Because somebody helped me, right? Somebody did service for me, man. I was somebody's service. Somebody picked me up. Somebody took me to a meeting. Somebody listened to me bitch on the phone or talk about what I'm going through. Um, that shit meant a lot, man. So yeah, service gave me my recovery direction. The little small thing. Been picking up trash at a meeting, picking up trash on the street, so it bleeds. Service bleeds out into the real world for me on my job, man. I might be the first one a couple times, but if I'm never the first one to leave. You know what I mean? I stay back and make make sure things are good, lights cut off, locked up, uh, kitchen clean or whatever. I did whatever for the service though, man, because it helps me get outside of my head. Whether it's working with clients, that I do at my other job, helping someone talk it out instead of writing writing them up. You know what I mean? It's,